Probably, I don't need introduction, but I will just tell a little bit of my story before we begin. I was diagnosed with scoliosis as a teenager, as some of you have been, and was diagnosed at 49 degrees, which is around the Cobb measurement where they sometimes will recommend surgery. One surgeon did. The second one, a well-known surgeon from Children's Hospital in Boston, gave me another opinion, which was because my growth had ended. He said, let's observe. If it gets worse, we're going to do something. But to begin with, start swimming, and swim a lot. And I considered him a wise man who in some ways saved me from surgery. Is there anyone here who has had the surgery? Sometimes I have people in the workshop, so you have, yeah. And he also said, oh, I've just read this yoga book that looks like it's good stretches. It might be good for backs. So, of course, that was when I didn't know anything of yoga. I had no idea what yoga was, but I didn't go off to a yoga class right away. It took me about 8 more years. But I did find yoga in my 20s, and that had made a significant change for me with my back right away. I had some pain in my 20s after I graduated from college. I didn't have very much pain as a teenager or during college, but it was when I became more sedentary that I started to feel it. And I could feel the relief right away. The system of yoga I first was introduced to really didn't go into a lot of detail of alignment or specifics of how to do poses. It had some wonderful attributes of learning, but it wasn't that. And so I didn't really understand which poses were helping and which weren't. Sometimes it would feel better, sometimes it wouldn't. And so, of course, that got my curiosity up, and I heard of this man named BKS Iyengar, and the next thing I knew, somebody had handed me a book, and I went to California, and then just happened to be in California, and he arrived for his first visit to California, and I got to be in that class. And immediately he started adjusting my back, and so I realized he had some insight into knowing how to work with scoliosis. And then I've really studied a lot of physical therapy as well, so it's really, to me, what I present is a combination of East and West, but it is yoga-based. So that's, and I'll be talking a little more about my approach after I cover some information on scoliosis. So I do feel it's important to spend a little time at the beginning of this workshop to explain scoliosis, because if you have an understanding of how it is or what it is and how anatomically it affects the body physiologically as well, then I think you have a little more understanding how to work with your back. And when we're doing things, then you have more of an understanding of why we're doing things. I always like to know why. I don't want to just take it point blank that, oh, you're supposed to do this, but not understanding why. And the other thing is that sometimes, and I certainly know this for myself, I've wanted to ignore it. You know, it's in the back, right? Yeah. Denial. Or I just don't want to deal with it. So by us really exploring, opening up to it, and what's very nice about this workshop, it's safe. You know, we all have scoliosis who are here, or if we don't, we have supporters who are here that want to be in support of us. So hopefully that makes you feel more comfortable and more open to explore. And I think it's really important if you do get that picture. It's a real visual thing because you can't see it, to start to visually image. And I do have a little homework for you tonight, which I always have you do the first night if you're coming back. And even if you're not coming back, it might be good, is to just take a few moments to do a little drawing and make it a beautiful drawing. You know, it's so true. We think, oh, this is an abnormal spine or abnormal, but you know, oak trees, they don't grow straight, right? There's palm trees, yes, they're straight, but oak trees are just as beautiful. So we have to see how our backs are. It can be a beautiful thing as well. It's just knowing how to create alignment and less discomfort with what we have. And the possibility of changing it muscular, and even the degree is possible. So I just want to put that possibility in your mind. That's one thing I have done. I had the 49-degree curve, now it's in the 30s. I feel like when I don't do enough yoga, or I'm sitting on a plane for 18 hours flying to India, yes, I can feel that spine curving more and me rounding more. But I have the tools to affect my back. So in a way, yoga has empowered me, rather than doctors just saying, oh, there's nothing you can do, it's either surgery or nothing. Well, I totally disagree with that. And what's wonderful is now there are younger orthopedic surgeons who are recommending to do physical therapy or yoga. So that is changing. But I think the point of feeling empowered to know what to do and when to do it is really important with scoliosis. All right. So I have actually a right thoracic curve with a compensating left lumbar, though now that lumbar curve is structural as well, but still my right thoracic is more. But I'd like to see, would you like to see another person who perhaps thinks that they have that curve, so we can just show a difference, even though it's the same pattern? Okay, and it's Hillary, right? And turn to the back. If you all can't see anyone come closer around, making a circle, that's fine. So you can see the shoulder blade projecting out. The tip, this is the tip of the shoulder blade, so it's pushing out. So what I was saying earlier is when the spine goes to the right, the shoulder blade itself, the shoulder blade does many things. It goes up and down, okay, and it goes in and out, but it also, there's a rotation. So her shoulder blade is actually rotated slightly with this side projecting out and coming out to the side. So that's an example. Now, for her, her shoulders are pretty even, but one of the interesting things I see with her is she definitely has that left cervical curve. You see the left shoulder. So this is the variation between she and I. So my shoulder's the one that always wanted to go up. I have less of a left cervical spine. You can see her spine, besides the ribs and the shoulder, it's pretty flat. So that's what I was speaking of earlier. And sometimes that will lead into more of a lumbar curve that you were speaking of. Okay. Hips. So now we see the left hip is up higher. So that could be the effect. And once in a while with a right thoracic curve, it can go so far down, not all, it's not a right thoracolumbar, but that left hip will come up. Whereas typically with a right thoracic left lumbar, remember, it's going to be the right hip.
Really?
Yeah.